G'day, g'day, freedom lovers. How are we today? Sorry I wasn't there last week. I needed a little bit of time to myself. I'd just taken on a bit too much and things were getting a bit far out of hand. I just noticed that our wild wacky world of Wokiverse is still running on Facebook and preventing me from jumping in there. So we might be a bit delayed on the old Facebook cafe locked out because looks like old mate's gone a bit over his usual time for some reason. Not sure what's going on there. It looks like he's got a song playing out. That might be the end of it. That video has ended, so I should be able to get that functioning now. Let's just try that again. Just remove that and add it back in, and it should come up now. I think we might have just managed to save this. Have a quick squeeze, make sure we're functioning on all levels. We're still having trouble. I think we're looking good. But anyway, look, while I'm waiting to see how that responds, I should do what I haven't done in a while and say g'day to all the Patreons, because we've got a new one too. We've got a Belinda has popped on to add herself to the fold of the Patreons, as well as Aussie65, who started up this year, which is really good to see. G'day to Jake and Louise and Curly and Terrence and Ruben, Karina, Carla. Mark, I wonder, Howard, who I know is still Jake Soy, because that's a bit confusing. But anyway, Gaza, big thanks to Gaza, who actually helped out a little bit more to make sure that we could pay for the software to continue doing this. And of course, Lee and Jeannie, our two first Patreons. So you guys absolutely rock. Thanks heaps for everything you've done. And of course, Anonymous, who has helped out, with making sure we can afford to keep the lights on here. We're still having trouble getting on to Facebook on the old Cafe Locked Out channel, but I think most people have gone to X and Rumble these days anyway. We'll give it one more. G'day, Belinda. How are ya? Thanks for becoming a Patreon. It's very awesome of you. G'day, Adrian. How you going? Oh, speaking of Adrian's great work, hey, if anybody is looking for, North Queensland Freedom Network shit stirring spoons, we've got them, compliments of Adrian's great work, reach out if you're keen. With Death to the New World Order, fridge magnets and stuff as well. We've got the wonderful coasters, which are currently in use right now. Here's a wonderful story for today. I thought I'd make myself a vodka and pomegranate juice. What I didn't realize was what I thought was pomegranate juice turned out to be prune juice. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not the best idea. But you know what? I won't have any trouble going to the toilet today. Sips. It's not unbearable, but it's drinkable. Still having trouble with this one. Why are we having trouble? Facebook is being a bit of a pain. So on that note, Facebook users for a history of these shows now, you're going to have to go elsewhere. Facebook notified us this week that, or was it last week? I can't remember. One of the two. That from here on in, they'll only be holding videos for 30 days. So if you want to go back and see the stories that we've done, you know, or you need to reference them for whatever, they won't be there. Facebook is no longer considering itself a keeper of the history of the internet. It's deciding to wipe everything within 30 days. Isn't that wonderful? So just another reason to give Facebook the flick, really, move over to X, Rumble, BitChute. YouTube's still functioning. We'll see if they give us another strike this time around. Hopefully we'll get through, considering some of the things we're going to talk about are no doubt going to offend the New World Order and their wonderful masters who have decided to vaccinate people to death. Let's see if we can't get this thing to function this time. Come on, one last chance for Facebook. It's just not playing at the moment. So anyway, I caught up with Senator Rennick during the week as well. So stay tuned for some videos on that. And we also caught up with our local member here for Herbert, who we've got an exclusive interview with as well. Going to have a go through of that one. You know, we'll make sure it's good. If not, we might reshoot it. We'll see how it goes. But we've definitely got some Senator Rennick videos coming for you. Probably sometime tomorrow when I get a chance to finally edit these things. So with all that taken care of, I think we've got all the housekeeping. Oh, basically, well, of course, you know, if you want to be a Patreon, you should jump onto the Patreon thing. You know, you can find that in the description. Of course, if you got anything you want to contact me for any whatever reason, this thing is driving me nuts. Come on, Facebook, do your job. Your one job. All right. So NQ Freedom Network at protonmail.com if you want to get a hold of me in any way, shape, or form. You know, some people have reached out recently for various bits and pieces, such as how to get a link to Telegram and all that. Of course, you want to get to Telegram because that's where I drop all the PDFs and bits and pieces that you guys might want access to. Before I forget, I'm actually going to make this really easy for you guys too today, so you can follow along at home and get the resources you need to learn how to, you know, keep yourself free. We're going to be talking about things like the Constitution today. So the first thing I'm going to do, get over to, if you want to follow along and have a read and see what's going on, it's to jump over to that North Queensland Freedom Network Telegram page. I am dropping a copy of the Constitution in there right now that you can grab a hold of. It's a PDF. You can always get it off the internet yourself. But, you know, I'm just trying to make your life easy because, hey, it's the kind of guy I am. All right. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Jacquie Dundee. Some of you might have already seen her on the Cardi Girls the other day. But, you know, we want to make sure we cover all bases and as many people are aware of this as possible. So, Jacquie, how you going?
I'm good, thanks, Betty. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. It's been a long time since I've seen you. And Canberra was the last time we caught up.
Yeah, maybe. Are you coming to Canberra again?
Oh, I'll get there eventually. I don't know that I'll make it around this time because I've kind of stuck with work, and the big boss is coming in for the next couple of weeks. So it looks like we won't be able to play up in any way, shape, or form. So we'll be minding our P's and Q's good and proper. Vodka and prune juice. What did you name this abomination? I don't think it's worthy of a name. I'm gonna call it an accident. Because I thought it was pomegranate juice. I honestly thought it wasn't until I poured it in. I'm going, what is that obscene color? Oh my God, what have I done to my vodka? Vodka's too expensive to waste. I better just go it as it is.
You got to drink it now.
That's it. Waste not, want not. A bit of a lemonade there to try and sweeten it up a bit, you know. It is what it is. We'll live with it. So, Jacquie, You had a bit of a rundown with the Cardi Girls, but I'm sure we can, you know, wedge in through a few different avenues here as we look into what's going on. So Rod is down Wednesday in Canberra, and High Court, I believe.
Now, Rod will be doing it remotely from WA. He had an accident and had his leg broken, so I think, and Dr. Beverly will be doing it remotely as well. Look, the purpose of this is a call out to all Australians to support both Rod Culleton and Dr. Beverly Pearce, because their matters are being heard in the High Court. They are directions hearings. So this is why it is so important, because the High Court's not going to be hearing the matters on Wednesday the 9th. They are going to be determining whether or not they remit these matters to a lower court. So that is why it is so crucial for as many Australians as possible from every state across this nation to get there, to say, no, we demand these two matters are heard by this High Court in Canberra, because they're too important to be heard by lower state courts whose determinations will have no effect outside the jurisdiction of each state. So, I mean, this is the thing. It is very important for Australians to be on the front doorstep of the High Court in Canberra to say, you know, we are watching, and from across the nation, we are watching. We've all come here to demand, basically, that it is heard in this court, as the matters that they are bringing had effect or affected every single Australian across the country. So it is important for the High Court in Canberra to know that all eyes are going to be on this court, waiting, watching for their determinations. We're waiting for justice.
Will this be available via online? Can people tune in from the comfort of their homes?
Yes, they can. But that's not going to show the High Court that we're all here from across the nation.
Yeah,
but definitely, I mean,
seeing
understandable.
those numbers though, like, I mean, you know, there's been instances where, you know, these things have been televised and the whole signal's crashed because so many people jumped on, you know, and that sends a signal unto itself, you know.
Yes,
obviously
very
physical
true.
presence is good. So,
Very
you know,
true.
how do you reckon we can get a hold of that particular link so we can at least watch for those of us who can't make it?
Dr. Beverly and Rod will receive the links. So as soon as they get them, they'll share them out and I'll plaster them everywhere.
No worries. We'll fling us one and I'll chuck it up on Telegram and various platforms we've got here so people can get a hold of it that way as well. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We will get you those links if you can't make it to Canberra. Of course, if you can, that's going to be the best thing. So it is Wednesday, so there may be a chance I might be able to work something out. I'll have a look. I'll see what we can do. We'll see. We'll see. You know, I'll have to look at flights and costs and things. You know, I might be able to do a Wednesday morning and come out at night time or something. I don't know. I'll see what happens.
Oh, keep our fingers crossed. Look, I guess this is the thing, is we need the High Court in Canberra to make a determination to uphold our constitution, our protections, etc., and to rein both the Commonwealth and state parliaments into line. Because, you know, as we were discussing earlier, you know, pursuant to Clause 5 of the Constitution, all courts, all states, all judges, all people of the Commonwealth in every state are bound by the Constitution. Yeah. So, you know, it's the state and Commonwealth governments just seem to have an blatant and utter disdain for the Constitution because it places restraints upon them. It gives them the limits, you know, but they seem to think that they can just do what they want, and that is not the case. They need to be reined in. But, you know, we've got another, like, important question, as I was saying to you earlier, Batty. Like, it really does pose the question as to, and with no disrespect to the High Court, but why do you exist, High Court, if your determinations on law and the principles and precedents, you know, that you set are being blatantly ignored by the state and Commonwealth parliaments, who are continually making laws to the contrary on matters that have already been, well and truly settled and established over decades. Do High Court determinations have expiry dates? Like, what is going on in this country?
And at what point do they step in and start going, hang on, you guys are out of line,
Well, this is the thing. This is where the separation of powers doctrine comes in, because they must remain entirely separate from each other. But in the same breath, this is where, you say that the only way to control the executive and the legislative branches of government is with judicial force. It's the only way. I mean, mate, how many did we have up in Canberra? Some were saying it was like 2.5 million up there, and we had 1.5 million in the streets. Say again?
I've heard a lot of numbers flung around, but it was definitely people as far as the eye could see.
Yep. We're in the millions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And same down here in Victoria, we had at least 1.5 million, a quarter of Victoria's population. And with all the petitions and the cease and desist notices, the legislative are ignoring us, absolutely ignoring the people. So the only way to control them is with judicial force. So, yeah. Do you want me to go over the cases?
Yeah, I think that's a good place. Let's have a quick. So they're two separate cases. Maybe we'll start. Which one's going to be going first?
Well, I don't know. We don't know that yet. We don't know that yet. But
so we'll start with Rod's, because that was kind of where I've sort of advertised the scenario as Rod's case. So let's have a yarn about what he's doing.
Well, Rod is presenting a Section 92 matter. So his is basically a collateral attack on the Palmer versus WA matter, because that wasn't argued correctly. They didn't bring a constitutional matter into the argument at all. And in my opinion, it was designed to fail, because Mr. Dundee, Palmer's QC, he knows full well that the restraint of the Constitution operates upon the Act and not upon the directions of the chose. So, and there's like High Court case law galore on that. So he didn't challenge the validity of the Emergency Management Act, and that's what Rod is doing. So, like, you can go into the Palmer versus WA transcripts and you will see that Chief Justice Kiefel questioned Dunning on 3 occasions, because he made out as though he was going to challenge the validity of the Emergency Management Act, but he didn't. So Chief Justice Kiefel questioned him 3 times. To each time he responded no, and then she said words to the
What was the question he asked? Sorry? So the judge questioned him, or she asked him.
She asked him if he was going to be challenging the validity of the Emergency Management Act.
Right.
And
that would have been the avenue he should have gone down, and obviously did not.
Absolutely, and he did not. And after he replied no for the 3rd time, she actually said, well, Mr. Dunning, we don't have a constitutional matter. So there you go. So it was definitely
somebody of that status would definitely know better.
Absolutely. To the best of my knowledge, QC is like the highest, aren't they, with those in the legal profession?
Yeah, well, they're certainly not, sweeping floors, are they?
No, Queen's Counsel, I'm fairly certain that's the highest you can be. When you look at lawyers, solicitors, barristers, QCs, as far as I know. Anyhow, there's no excuse for it. So Rod is going into the High Court, invoking what we call its original jurisdiction, pursuant to the quarantine power at 51(9) and Section 92 of the Constitution, which makes it a matter arising under the Constitution or its interpretation, pursuant to Section 76(1). Yeah, that's great. You've got that up there.
Yeah, and that's the last part of it there.
So, look, there's lots of High Court case law that they've already well and truly established that the quarantine power cannot transcend, is the word they use, cannot knock out, I suppose, or be above the trade and commerce power, because to do so would be something that the Constitution forbids. And actually, I've got a quote from, I think it was Gratwick versus Johnson. They even said it in the Palmer matter. You've also got to remember, Palmer was in, I think it was November 2020 is when the matter was decided. So this is before there was lockdowns hadn't occurred for any more than maybe a month or two at that point in time. So at that point in time when Palmer was heard, the quarantine power hadn't transcended trade and commerce. But 2 years later, it certainly had. So, yeah, like, so in Palmer, they, Palmer's matter also was covering the trade and commerce limb of Section 92. It wasn't addressing the intercourse limb, which Rod is addressing. So that's us in our private capacities going to visit friends and family across the nation. So, you know, Gratwick is the case that's instructive how the court should rule on Rod's matter. There you go.
And as I
Sorry.
Yeah, QC is the highest level above barrister.
Yeah,
So,
thank you. I thought so.
And as I understand it, you know, once we federated, you know, the whole idea of that federation was to open up the country, to stop, you know, border tariffs and charges and whatnot for the purpose of commerce and all that, because there was a lot of charges happening between the colonies, as I understand it. So again, like, it's almost as if they're reverting to that ancient way of doing things by enforcing these borders. And as you said on the Cardi Girls, that they're invisible borders. They're not, you know, there's no wall. This isn't between Mexico and America sort of thing. We haven't built the wall yet, you know, between the states. There are just jurisdictional borders between how the states govern certain things, you know, and we are free to roam, you know, as is our right to do so, to roam freely throughout the Commonwealth with
unhindered,
exact wording,
unhindered and not burdened. Yep. Yes, exactly. Absolutely. So that's the thing, you know, at Federation, we became a nation and Australians were to be able to travel across our land unhindered and without burden. So the only purpose that these invisible boundaries serve, as you just said, it is where each of the states' jurisdiction is for their legislation of the state, and it's zero outside of that invisible boundary.
Yeah.
Yes.
Similar to our, you know, our council borders and our, you know, federal electorate borders, and then, you know, our state electorate borders. There's all these little borders and lines drawn all over the place, you know. Whether you live in Mundingborough or Springvale or whatever, you know, little suburb you live in, you know, there's no wall around it, at least not yet.
Yeah.
You know, I believe there are thoughts and plans behind such nefarious things, but you know,
who knows? We might all. Yeah, I'm not going to even go there. We're not going to put that out there.
Yeah, that's a conversation for another day.
Yes, absolutely. Look, you know, even in the Palmer matter, Palmer referred to Gratwick in the matter with and they quoted Chief Justice Latham. So, you know, people can go in and have a look at these cases to, you know, this is not just my opinion. It is the opinion of the High Court, and this is what Rod's and Beverley's matters are putting forward, that these matters have already been well and truly established in the courts. So, yeah, they want to lock us out of everything's right. So this is the big thing that's going on at the moment. They're trying to force vaccinate, have us have no say in our medical services. They're trying to restrict our movement, and then we've got the suppression of speech seem to be the three main areas at the moment. So we need the High Court to make a determination to stop these a-holes in their tracks. So you've got Chief Justice Latham says, where, however, a law of the Commonwealth or a state directly forbids intercourse amongst the states, either absolutely or sub modo, It is as bad as infringing Section 92, even if found in a Commonwealth or state scheme of regulation. So he also quotes James v. the Commonwealth. I'll just read out the most a simple legislative prohibition, federal or state, as distinct from regulation of interstate trade and commerce, is invalid. Further, a law which is directed against interstate trade and commerce is invalid. So this is the other thing. The Constitution is, as you know, Betty, is there as it's the rule book. It is the restraint on the government, telling them what they can do, what their capacity is, what their authority is, and giving them their limits and their boundaries. And they don't like it. So all they can do, both Commonwealth and state parliament, when they create laws, is to create regulatory laws. So with certain issues, so such as our doctor-patient relationship, they can't make no laws there, not at all, neither the state or the Commonwealth. But the as you know, I'll cover that when I go into Beverly's.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably a little bit more Section
that's for Beverly.
53A and all that, more focused there, right?
Yeah, but look, as you just said, the right of Australians to travel across these invisible boundaries is derived, same in the United States, from the Act of Federation. So, and the notion of a Commonwealth. So when you look at it in actuality, when Western Australia closed their border for 2 years, we weren't a nation.
Yeah. We reverted back to the colonies.
That's right. And, the states have never recovered. They've never gotten over losing their power. So they masquerade now, creating all of these. The state premiers, for example, think that they can all get together and act like the Commonwealth because they all agree on something. They don't realise that their zero jurisdiction outside of their boundaries equals zero. They cannot get together and decide to make something for the benefit of the Commonwealth. You've got all kinds of crap going on, and they've got to be reined in. I'll read you out of Gurner as well. So that was fairly early on as well. That was in 2020 as well, I think.
Are you able to add that into down the bottom there? I think there's like you should be able to present. And if you
I'm on my phone though. I'm on my phone and this is on my computer.
Righty. Okay, that's on your computer.
Hold on. Unless I email it to you.
Yes, quickly email it to me.
Yeah.
I'll punch that up on the screen so you can see it. NQ Freedom Network at protonmail.com. And that way everybody can see what you're looking at, and I can share that onto Telegram.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Okay, let me just open up this. And I have to save. Okay, new message. In DOMNET. Yeah, that would be awesome to get it up there.
Better log into my email too.
Freedom
Network.
So at
protonmail.com.
Freedom Network at. Got the 2 there instead of the at. Okay, let me just get in there. Save this. Okay. I'm not very high tech. I'm a bit slow.
No, it's all right.
I'm getting there. But look, the more we can get out there, like this for people to be able to see it for themselves is like, it really is bloody jaw-dropping when you think about it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And I know a lot of this stuff seems really complex at first, and I mean, being the kid that couldn't read in grade 3, the idea of me sitting here going through legal jargon is absolutely baffling to even me as I do it. But it's repetition. It's the same as anything. The more you read
Absolutely.
certain sections in particular with coming to
Yeah.
regarding the Constitution, the more it starts to make sense to you. And knowing the
Yeah.
Constitution being the binding force of all law is one of the most important ones. And sadly, something we are not taught. Whereas, you look at places like America where they can quote it like off the back of their hands. They know their laws, they know their rights. Where here in Australia, we know fuck all.
We don't even know we've got
Who
a
won the footy?
constitution.
Everybody can tell you who won a footy game back in 1976. But they don't know their fucking rights. It's absolutely insane.
Look, this is the thing as well. It's like I gave the example when I lived over in West Virginia there for a while in the States, and there was like 95% of them at least were illiterate. But if anything went down, they knew that they'd stand there and say, I got constitutional rights. So even though they couldn't read or write, they were able to stand strong just knowing they had a constitution to protect them. So this is the thing. It's not necessary that you know all your different sections or all the case law. Just be confident that our constitution protects us. And, there's a good reason why they removed our constitution in the 70s from the curriculum. They didn't want, they didn't want people knowing their rights. Has that come through, Betty?
Yep, I'm bringing it up right now.
Awesome.
All right, so here we go. So we got the call out.
Yeah, and then on
information.
Go down to I think it's the second lot of highlighted stuff in yellow.
Yep.
So yeah.
The first lot.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it there.
Right.
So this is from Gurner. Okay, Gurner versus the State of Victoria, High Court of Australia. And just read here. So this is all of the Chief Justice Kiefel, Gagler, Keane, Gordon, and Edelman justices. And they are, at paragraph 20, you will find this, where they're quoting Isaacs and Higgins. The law was invalid because it interfered with the freedom of interstate intercourse expressly guaranteed by Section 92. Isaacs J. held that Section 92 effects an absolute prohibition on the Commonwealth and states alike to regard state borders as in themselves possible barriers to intercourse between Australians. See?
Pretty
established clear. In law. It's very clear. Very clear.
Most people would even have to break out a dictionary on any of them words. They're pretty straightforward, common words. There's nothing particularly legalese about that statement. It's very clear.
That's right.
Absolute prohibition on the Commonwealth and the states, so federal and state law alike, to regard state borders as in themselves possible barriers to intercourse between Australians. And we're not talking about people, having a giant orgy all around the country. There could be a misconception in that word there, perhaps. But as the legalese is just people, engaging in one way or another.
In travel, private travel. So then you've got Cole v. Whitfield. So it was accepted that the constitutional protection of free intercourse among the states, free movement across state borders, people can read through all of that. See, sometimes I will just read out certain sections of it. So go down to the court asserted that there was no correspondence between the freedom guaranteed to interstate trade and commerce and that guaranteed to interstate intercourse. The court said that the freedom of interstate intercourse extended to a guarantee of personal freedom to pass to and fro among the states without burden, hindrance, or restriction.
Again, pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward. Rod's also going to be challenging, as I've got there in that next paragraph, what they've brought in, and they used it in Palmer, was what's called the McCloy proportionality test. Now, Dunning didn't challenge that for Clive Palmer, and it is of no concern of this court as to whether an act is reasonable or fair. That is for the legislative arm, the Parliament, and the court is prohibited from taking such considerations into account by reason of the separation of powers doctrine. So, and this is where you will find all of, what I've just said established in High Court case law. Chief Justice Latham in McCarter versus Brodie. They've made it very clear that the above considerations properly belong to the legislative branch and are ultra vires the court. So he is cited below, Chief Justice Latham. There is no authority for the proposition that the courts are authorised to inquire whether such restrictions are reasonable or not in order to determine whether they become burdens so as to infringe Section 92. It is not for a court to determine whether reasonable or not. So they've just got to determine whether it's lawful or whether it is constitutional. The legislative branch, when they're creating laws, that's where they need to look at if it's reasonable or fair. Then you've got the same principle here repeated by Justice Dawson in Nationwide News versus Wills, cited in part, but it may convey the impression that the law itself must be reasonable. And it is no part of this court's function once a law can be seen to be upon a subject matter confided to the Parliament to determine whether in its view the law is reasonable or not. This is a matter for Parliament and not the court. You see? It's very clearly written.
Lays down, this is the law, this is not the law, this is how it works, you know.
Yes.
So they're the people who wrote the law. So, but as you say, they're bound by the Constitution. They can only write that which falls within what they're allowed to do. Which, you know, again, you know, I think back to when I was a kid, and you know, the concept of the referendum coming around for whether we were going to become a republic or not, you know, and from our education system, I think we were all pretty well brainwashed, at least I was as a kid, to think, oh, well, of course we don't have it. Fuck these bloody monarchs. Get rid of them, you know. But what I didn't realize at the time was, hang on, that Constitution goes with it. And that's what, you know, they're going to give you a whole bunch of political bullshit about, oh, we don't really need a king and all this. We can look after ourselves. But what they really mean is we want to get rid of the Constitution.
Yeah, which is our protection and their restraint. Yeah. That's their cage. They got to stay in it. So look,
and I mean, up to us to keep them in it.
That's exactly right. It is up to we, the people. We've got to pull them into line, and the only way we can do this is using the court, judicial force. So this is why it is so important for these matters to be heard in the High Court of Canberra. They cannot be remitted to a lower court. We need
what
these
would
matters.
Happen if they were remitted to a lower court? So why is that such a danger?
Well, the danger is that the lower courts do not appear to have the intellect. I mean, you've got to look at Dr. Beverley's sister, Dr. Valerie Peers. She has been now through 38 different hearings. Even in the Supreme Court, they are doing things that are unlawful, and there is obvious, especially with the lower courts, it appears to me to be obvious. I've got to be careful what I say, that there seems to be a lot of bias, collusion, and the perverting of the course of justice going on in the lower courts. They are misinterpreting High Court case law. Hard to understand how they can do that when things are so clear to us, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's it. I'm no, Oxford University graduate or anything, but I seem to be able to wrap my head around the basics here.
Yep. So this is the thing, and they have got they're in the habit of mischaracterizing arguments. So, you know, Dr. Valerie will go over determinations and it'll be like, I didn't say that at all. So they're trying to put words into her mouth or give a false representation of what she said.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in these lower courts. So the other thing is, if these matters were to be taken into, say, the Supreme Court of the state, it is creating what's called multiplicity. You would have to take these matters into every single court, a Supreme Court, for example, across the country.
Yeah.
And then there is nothing that is binding each of the Supreme Court justices to come to the same decision. They can take each other's determinations into consideration, but say, no, I disagree with that. Yeah. You see? So we need this heard by the High Court to make a determination for the country. And when you see, you know, how clear it is, and I've only looked up here a couple of cases, I could bring you up another 30 or 40 quotes from High Court case law that's saying exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's outrageous that the Parliament and the states are continually making laws on matters that it's already been determined are unconstitutional or invalid.
Yeah.
How are they getting away with it? I'll tell you how, because we're too busy watching the football.
Exactly. Big problem, that football.
Big problem. I've never watched a football game in my life.
I watch them when I'm paid to watch them.
Oh, I've never, because it was just, you know, I've only got a sister, so I don't know. I never watched football. All right, Dr. Beverly.
Not missing anything, I don't think.
No. Dr. Beverly's matter. So,
Righty.
Yep. Dr. Beverly is bringing in a section 109. So this is if a law of the state is inconsistent with a law of the Commonwealth, the latter shall prevail and the former to the extent of the inconsistency be invalid. Now, when the High Court is looking at whether or not there is an inconsistency, first of all, they have to look at, is the Commonwealth Act, you know, valid? Is that all in order? And then they look at the State Act and say, all right, what kind of inconsistency is there? If there is either direct or indirect, but I'll try and cover that as quickly as well. So Dr. Beverly's matter is going in on under Section 109 of the Constitution, pursuant to Section 76(1) and 2, matter arising under a federal act, the Fair Work Act. And the interpretation, 76(1) is the interpretation of the Constitution, and 76(2) pertains to a matter arising under a federal act, being the Fair Work Act. So both enliven the court's original jurisdiction, and a lot of this was determined in a case called the Queensland Rail case. It is known as. So first of all, before you can bring in the Section 109, this case, is you must determine whether or not the Fair Work Act is applicable to the subject matter. So this is basically a replica of Queensland Rail. Firstly, they had to determine whether or not they were a trading corporation within the meaning of Section 5120. So every corporation or employer that has, for example, ABN numbers or ACN numbers would be classed as a corporation. So if you are a corporation, first, you must adhere to the Fair Work Act. A federal act operates across the nation, and no state act can interfere with the operation of a federal act. So Dr. Beverly, excuse my typo there, and was terminated on the, so I've taken this from her script. She was terminated on the 8th of December for serious misconduct. She didn't reveal her vaccination status. Oh my God. Gracious.
Medical history, which are protected under privacy laws, as I understand it.
Absolutely. So it was under the pandemic workplace order, made under, these are just the sections for people to reference, under Section 165AI of the Public Health and Wellbeing Act of Victoria. So the practical operational substance of the Act prevented Dr. Beverly from attending her place of employment absent proof of vaccination status. So all employers in Australia, this is why this is so important for all Australians. Every employer in Australia is required to apply the Fair Work Act 2009 Commonwealth, a federal act. So not, as in Dr. Beverly's case, the State Act being the Public Health and Wellbeing Act and its sections of. So I will skip down here.
And in short, for those who don't quite comprehend, federal trumps state. So whatever the state can say whatever it likes, but if there's a federal law that it sits above it, the state law must back down. Just
Yeah,
like any other of the federal or states must back down if the Constitution overrides it.
absolutely. Well put. So
Thank you.
federal acts are Commonwealth acts. Yeah. Federal acts are Commonwealth acts. Commonwealth, federal means same thing. So I'll go down to so this is what we say. The Public Health and Wellbeing Act is directly inconsistent with the Fair Work Act because it altered, impaired, and detracted from the operation of the federal Fair Work Act.
Are we still on the same page here? Sorry.
I'll go down, scroll down. Sorry.
Yep. No, we're
The
up to the
Public Health and Wellbeing.
Act is
The top of the
directly.
page starts with itself. Should have numbered the pages, shouldn't it? I can't see.
Mine might have given it a different shape and size. I've got the PHW, Public Health and Work Act is directly inconsistent with Federal Work Act because it alters, impairs, or detracts.
That's it.
That's what we're up to.
Cool. Yeah, that's where we're at. So the Fair Work Act had no operation unless the Public Health and Wellbeing Act, the former, was satisfied. So in this sense, the states determined the limits of federal power, which is ultra vires the states. An indirect inconsistency under Section 109 of the Constitution, and it also arose pursuant to Section 26 of the Fair Work Act, because you will find people at Section 26 of the Fair Work Act, 2009 Commonwealth. The Commonwealth clearly expressed and stated their intention that no state industrial relations law could have concurrent operation with the Fair Work Act. It actually says at Section 26, this act is to the exclusion of any state industrial relations law. Words to that effect. So this is the thing, and this is the deceit and how these acts were used. These state health acts were used as they were chameleons. They were shifting and changing because we found this in, different matters. So in this case, with the Fair Work Act, you will find if you go down at Section 26 of the Fair Work Act, it also gives the definition. It says, any state act that puts regulations into the workplace, puts conditions into the workplace, etc., would be a state industrial relations law. So they even give the definitions, and there's no escaping it for these state health acts. They fit the description of state industrial laws, relations laws. So
that's a Fair Work Act 2009, correct?
Yes, correct. It's Section 26. Fair Work Act 2009 at Section 26. So every single employer around Australia, across our nation, that was the act they had to adhere to. They did not have to listen to any of the state health acts. Yeah? So,
and that was Section 26, correct?
Yeah, correct. Oh, you ripper.
Act excludes state or territory industrial laws.
Yep.
That the one?
That's the one. And then scroll down and it gives the definition. Oh, no, not so far. Oh, I can't see what you're doing there. Not so far.
Scrolling too fast.
Possibly.
Right,
so have a look. Yeah.
Let's
have a look there, and it says what would define. I can't read that. It's too small for me. Right. Can you see where it says? I'm going to have to open it up myself now.
Everything seems to be divisions. We've got chapter 1 introduction.
No, it's at
before the introduction.
No, it's at Section 26.
Oh, right. So yeah, cool. Right.
It's at, yeah. It's at Section 26.
I was looking at the menu there. Here we go. So Division 2, Section 26, Act excludes state or territory industrial laws. This Act is intended to apply to exclusion of all state and territory industrial laws,
Yeah, exclusion
as far
of.
as they would otherwise apply in relation to a national system employee or national system employer. A state or territory law, industrial law, is a general state industrial law or an act of the state. Is this? Do we need to go through all this, or is there something specifically you want to get to, like 2A, B, C, D, E? There's quite a few.
No, you
bits
will
here.
find just under there just gives you a couple of examples. I'll try to scroll quickly
So
to it now.
of a state or territory that applies to employment generally and
That's
has
it.
one or more of the following as its main
That's
purpose,
it.
or one or more of its main purposes. 1, regulating workplace relations, including industrial matters, industrial activity, collective bargaining, industrial disputes, and industrial action. 2, providing for the establishment or enforcement of terms and conditions of employment. And I've copied the link into Telegram for
And
anybody.
that's what they did. They define, those state acts define the terms and conditions. Get vaccinated or you can't work.
Yeah.
It's exactly what they did. So you can see it's very comprehensive. Very comprehensive. Yeah.
You'd have to wonder if Section C here, where it goes, a law of the state or territory that applies to employment generally and deals with leave, considering people were basically forcibly put on leave without pay as well.
Absolutely.
As a way of avoiding terminating them and then ending up with a lawsuit
absolutely.
case.
So if you, absolutely, if Section 26 at point 2, if you go through, now let's see, it goes 2A, B, and then 1 all the way through to, oh crap, I've moved it too quickly. These state acts nearly meet every one of the descriptions that you will find here.
Yeah.
So there's all the state acts have to meet is one of these.
Yeah.
And these state health acts were regulating workplace relations. They were providing for the establishment or enforcement of terms and conditions of employment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Providing for the making and enforcement of agreements. So let's read it again. Division 2, 26, Act excludes state or territory industrial laws. This act is intended to apply to the exclusion of all state or territory industrial laws so far as they would otherwise apply in relation to a national system employee or a national system employer. A state or territory industrial law is, and there's the definitions. I mean, there's no escaping it, is there?
No.
It's as clear as day.
I'll be curious to watch them squirm like a worm on a hook, trying to do it though.
Well, this is the thing. Give them no wriggle room. Back them into a corner. Yeah. That's the whole point of this. The way, Rod and Dr. Beverley's arguments are, the Socratic method. Ask them the questions you know damn well the answers to that the High Court's already answered. There's nowhere to turn.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to turn. I mean, look, I will say, I'm going up there with good faith that the High Court are going to do the right thing. And I think they will look forward to Rod's and Dr. Beverley's matters because, I mean, they've heard a lot of rubbish in those courts that have not been presented correctly. You've got to think that the justices there are just there to adjudicate or make determinations based on the content of the arguments that are presented to them. They can't interfere with them. But they certainly can, in the determinations, give you input. It's such as, Justice Edelman in the Palmer matter, quoting Dr. Coburn from the Sydney debates, which I think were in 1897, where he was saying that, it was words to the effect of the quarantine cannot transcend trade and commerce, for to do so would be something forbidden by the Constitution. Trade and commerce will always win out.
Yeah.
So So there you've got it. So the Public Health and Wellbeing Act in its practical operation or substance answers the description of an industrial relations law by compelling vaccination status to be disclosed for employment.
Hang on, where are we now? Sorry.
I've gone back to the document.
Word document.
Yeah, the Word doc.
Rightio.
Sorry, Betty.
No, it's all right. So the State Act, Public Health and Practical Operational Substance operates as a state industrial law. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, because it applies generally to all employers and employees in the state and provides for the establishment or enforcement of terms and conditions of employment. By way of a requirement of proof of vaccination for employment, and it's therefore invalid by reason of an indirect inconsistency pursuant to Section 109 of the Constitution.
Yeah.
So we can sort of skim through some of this, I think, because I'm sort of repeating myself. But I just read that one.
Yeah,
it answers the description of
right.
an industrial relations law. Such a state law, being an industrial law in its practical operational substance, is prohibited by the Federal Act, the Fair Work Act. That is like it says it all. So the indirect inconsistency is where it is written in the Act. The direct inconsistency is because the state acts altered, impaired, and detracted from the. Oh, here we go. The next paragraph. Here we go. The first approach. So this is from Work Health Authority in Outback Ballooning, 2019. You've got Chief Justice Kiefel, King, Nettle, and Gordon at paragraph 32. The first approach. This is whether to determine inconsistency in law. Okay. Was to regard when a state law would alter, impair, or detract from the operation of the Commonwealth law. So this effect is often referred to as a direct inconsistency because it stopped the operation of a federal law altogether.
Yeah.
So the state law was in conflict with the Commonwealth law. If the state law in its operation and effect would undermine the Commonwealth law, which it did. The state health acts across the nation did the same thing. This is why the High Court has got to hear it. Otherwise, there is going to be multiplicity. There is going to be replication, and there is no guarantee that the state courts are all going to come to the same determination. We need this. We, the people, have got to have this heard in the High Court.
Yeah.
Rod and Dr. Beverley's matters, and just thank God we've got people like them standing up for us all. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So second approach is so you consider whether a law of the Commonwealth is to be read as expressing an intention. So you say, completely, exhaustively, or exclusively. What shall be the law governing the particular conduct or matter? So on the subject matter of employment, the Fair Work Act has explicitly, they have expressed in writing, it is to the exclusion of any state industrial law. So a Commonwealth law which is expresses an intention of this kind is said to cover the field, or perhaps more accurately, to cover the subject matter with which it deals. A Commonwealth law of this kind leaves no room for the operation of a state or territory law dealing with the same subject matter. There can be no question of those laws having a concurrent operation with the Commonwealth law. So it's this is where the question whether a state or territory law is inconsistent with the Commonwealth law is to be termed as a matter of construction in a case where it is alleged that a state or territory law is directly inconsistent with a Commonwealth law. It will be necessary to have regard to both laws and their operation. So this is where I was saying earlier, firstly, they determine whether or not the Federal Act is valid, and that's well and truly been determined. So it's these state health acts that are. And then you've got here, what have we got here? The
I'm
version
100% with you. I do not understand how any court of law could misconstrue this.
Yep.
Like I said, I was the last person in the world to learn to read, and I can figure this out.
Yeah, you've got it mentioned in Wong versus Commonwealth. These are landmark cases. Ha versus New South Wales, etc. When a constitutional limitation or restriction on power is relied on to invalidate a law, the effect of the law in and upon the facts and circumstances to which it relates, its practical operation must be examined as well as its terms in order to ensure that the limitation or restriction is not circumvented by mere drafting devices. So you see the way they have written these laws, state health acts, by the by the drafting devices or by the written construction, the form of these state health acts gives one the illusion that they're just dealing with our health, but they're not. And this is the other thing. What is the purpose of the states even having health acts when our health is none of their business?
Yeah.
It is a private contract in law between doctor and patient. So this is how they've snuck these laws in, under the guise of keeping us safe, which is, as we know, everything they say is to the opposite. So this is, that's all I've got there. So, this is where you look at, you can't, in order to get a true, I guess, comprehension or view of, or to ascertain how an act or a law is in reality, you don't look at it in form. You look at it at its substance. So in its practical operation or general application, how does it affect the people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how can we apply this? Which, again, it raises the question, it's a bit off topic, but you see a lot of some of these new laws that they're bringing out, they're so ambiguous in their terminology, it seems contradictory to what's been stated here.
They are. They're unconstitutional. Like all of these bloody hate speech laws that they're bringing out. Someone just told me, actually,
perfect example.
My brother-in-law just told me that they have increased the penalty for hate speech to 5 years. And it could even be something, how true. This is the thing. When you see the word may written in an act, that is a discretionary power. They may, but guess what? They may not. Because in reality, they can't. It's all an illusion. It's all about intimidation and fear. It was the same in some of the, I think it was in the emergency management, well, some of the health acts, I think it was in all the state health acts where they said, you may be held back by officers and you may be given a vaccination. Yeah, may, that's right. Because in actuality, you can't.
Yeah, exactly.
You see? It's the trickery. It's deceiving. It's instilling fear and control. But these hate speech, this is absolutely ludicrous. I mean, there is so much high court case law on that as well. This is our implied freedom of political communication, and you cannot stop it. And it is not a crime to offend someone. In fact, perhaps some people need to be offended because they need
I think some people
wake
want
up.
to be offended, and that's the thing. It's not they may be offended; they've made a conscious decision to walk out that door every day and find someone that has offended them.
I'm offended. I know. It's
I'm offended that you're offended.
Yeah, I know. There's a great meme there, with the young ones. It's your average, 15, I guess, to 25-year-old that, I'm offended, and they're in fetal position. What were our grandfathers doing? They were bloody in battle. They were on the fields getting shot at. You think they bloody curl up into balls being offended? The Coleman versus Power is a very good high court case, pertaining to that. That's where I think it was Mr. Coleman against Officer Power. And Officer Power, it ended up all the way in the High Court. I can't remember which one's which. But the point of it is that the High Court basically said to the officer, get over it. It's not a crime for him to offend you. So the only thing you can't do is incite violence, and that's the bottom line of it. So I tell you what, it's the fuckery. You said it, Rachel, it's the shit fuckery that's going on in this country. It's ludicrous.
Oh,
It's absolutely insane what's going on.
Yeah,
You know,
especially considering, being offended, if you want to really break it down, is a conscious decision.
absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
because just
Yeah.
because somebody said something that may have been offensive doesn't mean I have to take it as offensive. I could be the bigger man or woman, and go, well, I'm going to let that roll off, me shoulders, roll up, big water off the duck's back, so to speak, and then go,
And stick
look,
it.
mate, what you said was a bit rough there, and this is why, and have a
Yeah,
calm and intelligent and respectful conversation about it instead of jumping up and down, going, I'm offended, I need my teddy bear in a safe
exactly.
space. Like,
Exactly.
fuck off.
Look, I think there's a point there where we've all got to, get on. We're all different, whether racially, culturally, with religion, etc. So it's all a matter of respecting each other and accepting that we're all not going to have the same opinions and we just agree to disagree. But then you've
Yeah.
got certain issues where they are shoving things down our throats, basically. And I guess where people get really upset is when it involves our children. So
Yes.
keep your shit out of our schools. Tell you
Bloody oath.
right now the crap that's going on there. Because that's what my brother-in-law said. He said, if you say state of fact, there are only two genders,
Yep.
male and female.
The
He said you
science is
might get
settled
locked
on
up
that
for
one.
5 years.
Yeah.
What?
It, yeah, no, I'm going with the signs is settled. Definitely going with the signs is settled on that one. What did I see?
Crazy.
Fucking, I seen one earlier. I'm trying to think where I put it. But it
I'm
was
sick of the perpetually
that's
offended. Yeah,
why
me too.
one of the greenies in fucking New Zealand. And old mate's, been busted with, putting pedophile symbols on his fucking Twitter page and all this. He's got the little circle thing and all this shit. And, and he's there with his own kid, kissing the kid like it was some passionate, first night out with on a first date or something, And it's just like this guy's nine kinds of wrong. And it's been pulled out. Apparently old mate's on stress leave because he's been getting death threats and all this sort of shit, It's like, nah, he. Yeah, I'm not saying we should go around, killing people like that, but that's a clear threat to children's safety, as far as I'm concerned, and something seriously needs to be done
Absolutely.
about people like that.
Absolutely.
They
They're
shouldn't be in
grooming.
politics at all.
They're grooming our children. And I mean, this
Mm,
is the other thing. How many pedophiles are sitting in Parliament? I mean, this is
yeah.
like, we can't go down too many rabbit holes. I mean, you look around the world over the past, I don't know, let's say 6 to 7 decades, and have a
Mm,
look at the first ladies.
yeah.
You really start to question things as to what's going on. But look, I'll go back to we've got other issues. I call our Attorney General Dreyfus the Attorney General of Israel, not the Commonwealth. He was a
Mm,
part of the creating of these acts that are putting special protections in place in case Jews are offended. Now, that is absolutely ridiculous.
yeah.
Now,
I'm
just,
inclined
just
to
say,
agree.
just say your grandfather fought for Nazi Germany. And he's proud to show his SWAT stickers. Good on him. And the other thing you've got to question is, has anybody actually checked out the accuracy of the history that's been recorded on World War II? Because you know what? I
It's
don't
a lot
think
of
it's
questions.
very accurate. It's very dodgy.
Yeah, a lot
Very
of things don't
dodgy.
make. I think it was maybe year 8 or 9, and a teacher goes to me, "Nobody knows why Hitler hated the Jews." I'm like, what? This isn't like, something written on the fucking walls of a pyramid here. This just recently happened. People are still alive who know what happened. How can you honestly tell me in a classroom that nobody knows? You've got to be shitting me.
Yep.
And they
No
always
one
show
talked to
you
the wall.
the speeches of Hitler and his rah, 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 rah in German. It looks like he's having a right go and whatnot. And now I've
Mm,
seen recently you can actually get like his speeches interpreted into English, and a lot
I
of what
know.
he says doesn't actually sound anywhere near as bad as you thought.
He was
While
passionate.
they're yeah, he was very passionate, that's for sure. But like when they're giving you a narrative with this screaming in the background that, oh, he did this and he did that, and they're capping off the whole long list of things that he's allegedly done, you know, you instantly assume that that's what he must be saying, you know, and everybody's clapping and
Absolutely.
cheering for this, but that's not the case
Absolutely.
at all. So
No, he
again,
wants.
it's a bit of
Sorry.
trickery.
He wanted Germany to remain a sovereign nation. He wanted nothing to do with the Rockefeller Rothschild federal banking system. And they are Zionist Jews. So he actually, now, please correct me if I'm wrong with this, to the best of my knowledge, he actually jailed a Rockefeller. Now look how Hitler went down in history. Interesting stuff, isn't it? When you look, look it up. No, I don't think Hitler did do himself in, though. I mean, that's another thing. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what's going on? It's the same with the Nuremberg trials. I mean, you've got to look at how many scapegoats or sheep were there, you know, that were perhaps dealt with, handed over, and how many of them ended up down in Antarctica? What is it? Operation? What's the operation? There's so many operations.
I can't remember, but yeah, there was definitely a lot of speculation what they were doing all the way down there. And I mean, even during World War II, it was reported here in Australian newspapers that U-boats were discovered down, you know, in Melbourne and whatnot. So
yeah. Hitler banned Freemasonry and jailed the Rothschild.
Yeah.
Oh, was it a Rothschild or a Rockefeller?
Also banned homosexuality, and he got rid of all the gay porn that was coming out. Again, I believe it was certain people of Jewish persuasion. I'm not going to throw every Jew under the bus on this one, but certain people of Jewish persuasion had started the gay porn racket in Germany, as I understand it. You know, and at this particular juncture in time, I understand that Israel boasts to be one of the gayest countries in the world.
I tell you, look, it's just, you've got to look at why has our government, I mean, I guess we're going down another rabbit warren here, but, you know, the Ukraine is actually the Khazarian mafia.
Warren, because it's not just a hole, it's a whole warren.
Yeah, it's multi-leveled, and it goes up in millions of different directions. It never stops once you go down. I mean, I guess you know what I mean. I've been down these rabbit warrens for probably 45 bloody years, and it's just amazing. The more you know, the more you realise how little you know. But nothing surprises you anymore.
Comes into it, you know.
I've got
a video prepared just for such an occasion. It's one of my favourites. This is where I started asking questions.
Socrates, the only true wisdom consists in knowing that you know nothing. That's us, dude. Oh, yeah.
Path to Wisdom, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
I love it. That's hysterical. I love it. I love it. So you got to ask, why has our government, I think, what did they give to the devastation that is going on with the farmers and the floods? I mean, it's heart-wrenching. It is absolutely, all the sheep, all the animals, they're killing our food sources. What did they give them? I think they sent up 2.5 million. How much money did they send to these foreign wars supporting the Ukraine and the Khazarian mafia? Their little, what's his name, Zelensky, who does his little dances and he's an actor. Another actor. It's insane. And then all the money to Israel supporting the bloody genocide of Palestinians. It's none of our business.
Palestine at the same time. Like, hang on, which side? What's going on? We're going to fund both sides of the war. I mean, it's like, hang on, no need for the banks to do that anymore. We got governments funding both sides of a war these days. It's just madness. Why are we paying for both sides of a war that nobody wants?
Well, you know what? It's interesting. I didn't know that.
A bunch of, you know, rich, you know, weapons manufacturers and banking cartels and politicians and all the people who don't stand to lose their lives or their children's lives, they're the ones who are happy to have this war. But those of us who are not most likely going to be conscripted or have to, you know, pay for it in our taxes or whatnot, we don't want this shit, you know?
No, I think it needs to come to a point where you want a war, you yourself march out there and meet the other one.
Yep. I agree.
Don't involve us.
If Elbow wants to go and fight the Ukraine, he reckons Ukraine's the, you know, we've got to go and fight that war. Give him a Bowie knife, strap a parachute on him. I think I'm being nice by giving him a parachute when we kick him out the plane over the top of Ukraine.
Yep, I second that. The whole lot of them. The
Yep.
whole lot of them. So this is the
Bowie
thing.
knife only.
You've got the Attorney General of the Commonwealth. I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to digress here. The Attorney
Yep.
General of the Commonwealth intervened in Faruqi versus Hanson, where Senator Faruqi was offended. She was offended by something that Pauline Hanson said. Now, the Attorney General of the Commonwealth needed to actually uphold the determination in Coleman versus Power.
Yeah.
And he needed to go in and invalidate Section 18C of the Racial Discrimination Act because it is invalid, absolutely invalid. It is not a crime to offend someone. The Racial Discrimination Act was written for the purpose that there was no discrimination between, people getting equal work opportunities, equal education, or equal opportunity to, purchase homes, for example, or, just general everyday life. It does not cover being offended by something. And this is all the shit that they are slowly slipping in to suppress our freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Did
That's all
anyone?
upside down, topsy-turvy stuff anyway. That's what
Crazy.
does my head in, I mean, well, it's equal opportunity. So, okay, equal
Yeah.
opportunity. Everybody's got a chance to run the race, but we're still going to pick the guy or girl who can do it the best. It
Yeah.
does my head, like the way, traditionally the left would have been making these same arguments, but somewhere along the lines they became absolutely fucking insane and started preaching the kind of things that they were dead against in the first place. I don't understand how things got so quickly turned upside down. It's what does my head in the most.
Well, I think you need to look at. I think we've got a lot of our parliamentarians that you could quite comfortably say have a definite acknowledgement of, not just acknowledgement of, they are obeying and adhering to instructions from foreign powers. And I think once that determination's been done under Section 44(1) of the Constitution, I think you could clearly say that Section 44(2) has been established. They are attainted of treason. And it appears very clear that there seems to be allegiance to Israel with what they are doing. Fancy threatening to jail Australians for offending someone, for offending a Jew. You are going to throw your own people in jail for a year. We should be outraged at this. Now, 5 years?
Again, like this whole anti-Semitic thing does my head in because, hang on, I thought we had anti-discrimination laws. Shouldn't that cover it? Why do we need to, specifically target, a specific group? That, to me, anti-Semitic laws are racist in its nature. Whether it's good or bad, you're separating a specific race or culture or religion or whichever way you want to look at it. They're being segregated, and they're segregating themselves by requesting it.
Well, do you know the irony of this is one of my dear friend of mine is he's very spiritual. He has gone into like every different religion. He can quote everything inside out. Now, can I remember this correctly? Hold on a minute. You've got the okay, so you've got the mystical Kabbalah, okay? The mystical Kabbalah, which is Talmudic, okay? So with that, they actually have the swastika.
Yep.
So how can it be anti-Semitic? I mean, there's two grounds for this. How can it be anti-Semitic that the Jews are using this in their own religion? Like, this is insane. It's absolutely insane.
Where, I don't think it's the Jews. I think it's
No, it's not.
It's that Khazarian mafia sort
Yeah,
of thing. And this is where again
I
we've got to be
shouldn't say
careful
that.
with
Yeah,
language, because
You're
I think
absolutely correct.
majority of Jews are just as ignorant to this as most people.
Absolutely.
They've been fed the same bullshit that everybody else has been fed.
Yes.
Mushrooms, we're fed on bullshit, living in the dark. At the end of the day, it's a handful of people who are using them, and
You're
it's
right.
quite
You're right.
evident. particularly in
right.
World War II, you know, to bring it back to the whole Hitler thing where, you know, all the rich ones seem to get away and hightail it to America and various other places around the world. And all the poor ones were left to bloody be the cannon fodder for, you know, the next, you know, the 6 million Jew massacre story, you know, like they're quite happy to kill Jews. You know,
Which is
so long as it
yeah.
suits the end game, and that's
Yeah.
the thing. You know, they're clearly not the Jews. I'd say these are the pretend Jews that have laid out in the Bible.
See that Betty is drinking the accident slow. You're absolutely correct. It's
Yeah.
there are bad in all religions, and the majority of Jews wouldn't have a clue what's going on. But you know what?
Mm.
What they're doing here is actually causing a division, which will be directed at innocent Jews. And that was going to say that was my second point when they're talking about anything anti-Semitic, because the Semites are actually the Palestinians. Now, I've got to get this right. The Palestinians and the Middle East and Arabs. So these Khazarian or the Zionist Jews, which I must emphasize is who we are speaking about, are generally the white-skinned, red-haired with the things down the curls at the front. And this is what Rockefeller and Rothschild and all of these ones are.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Jim, we must be very careful with that distinction. So the Zionist Jews. And once again, you know, as you said, these people, I've got too much in my head, but they have originated from somewhere, and apparently they are masters at coming into different cultures and civilizations and disguising themselves within them. And this is what has occurred with these Zionist Jews coming in to the Jews.
And we
It's
see
the
the
best
same
of my
thing,
understanding.
you know, in so many different places too. Like the original assassins of the Muslim faith, and then you've got the Jesuit order as well, and they all have the same sort of indoctrination, which, you know, to be a part of the little secret group, which is not that secret because we all know about it, is to fundamentally do whatever the hell you need to do to advance our personal agendas, you know, and masters of infiltration and so forth.
Absolutely. Look, yeah, I've seen some good thanks, Charles. I love Charles Hake. He's amazing, very intelligent man. They want us divided for easier control. That's exactly right. And this is what I say. No one's better than anyone else. We're all equal, and we've all got our own opinions, beliefs, etc. And we just have to accept that we can still all be friends. I had somebody I posted something about, because I'm a flat earther. And this guy said to me, goes, Jack, why are you trying to cause division? And I said, well, what do you mean? I said, a lot of my friends are globalists. And I said, I still love them. I'm not trying to, it's just my opinion. It doesn't mean I dislike people that think we're round. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, we're getting along just fine. I'm not buying the flat scenario myself. You know, I know I seen one the other day where somebody's gone, you know, oh well, you need fire for fire to burn, you need oxygen. I'm like, but the sun is a bloody something completely different. It's a hydrogen reactor on a massive scale here. I don't know if oxygen's really applicable in this scenario. And I don't know that you'd really call it fire. You know, it's a different, you know, so it's an oversimplification for the justification of a flat earth scenario, but that's just, you know, the way I'm looking at it, you know.
Yeah, I'll send you some stuff through later.
Oh, everybody sent me so much stuff. I've had a look at it, and none of it ever makes any sense to me. Like I can see there's certain points, but then logic comes back in. I'm like, but round works, you know, that makes more sense. It's a three-dimensional construct.
Oh, we're not going to go into that. We're speaking about that for next
that could
half
open
hour or so. But look, the bottom line is we have got an absolute corrupt bunch running this country, both Commonwealth and state. And you know what I say? You can shove your elections. We're not having any elections until the whole lot of you have been rounded up. All of you.
And investigated.
I want them arrested. I want them charged, etc. They lied to Australians. It was a democide across this country. Chemtrailing, they're poisoning our sky with geoengineering, weather manipulation. They're the ones causing the floods, or, more than likely, high percentage. Fluoride in our water. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Desecrating our environment, wind farms, solar panels. We've got to get this country back for our children and for our beautiful world. We've got to start. It's crazy what's going on. It's insane.
Yeah, I can't. Well, I mean, if they can put the government into administration mode, as they've just done for the sake of an election, surely we can put it into administration mode while we go through and investigate everything that they've done and make sure it's all above board.
Well, do you think the world?
Just like they keep saying to us, well, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to worry about. No worries. Well, you lot all go into administration while we go through everything you've fucking done, and let's have a look at it. You got nothing to hide. Off we go.
Absolutely.
Again, leading by example. We're supposed to surrender our freedoms and privacy and all this, and if we've got nothing to hide, it's okay. Well, you can lead by example.
Absolutely.
Open the books. Let's have a look.
Yeah, public servants, because you are our public servants. Exactly. So you do what we tell you. We're putting you into administration, and you can stay there till we've gone through everything. Every surveillance camera, I mean, bloody Victoria, in particular Melbourne, is just like a concentration camp. They've got their surveillance cameras. They can rip every one of them down and shove them in every corner of bloody Parliament House on every level.
Yep.
And in every blooming council office and everything else. They are the ones that need to be under surveillance, not us.
Right,
everything's inverted. It's crazy.
How many people do you know that you get around day to day and have to put gag orders on you? I've got lots of friends that had to sign a gag order.
Yep. Don't tell anyone else what we're doing.
Yeah. But it's commonplace within our, particularly councils, but I'm pretty sure state and federal are the same scenario. Thou shalt not speak out of school. First rule of Fight Club. Second rule of Fight Club.
Yeah. Look, Charles, hey, so good to see the Flatards and the Globetards uniting against filth. See? We can agree to disagree, but on some subject.
The important thing is we know who the real enemy is. May not know what shape the earth is, but we do know who our enemy is.
Well, I do.
Yeah. I feel like
God,
I'll always keep a little bit of a sway point of, okay, the door's open. I'm still just waiting for a good explanation.
I'll send you through a whole heap of stuff.
Maybe one day, what I've been wanting to do it actually is to have the flat versus round debate and just sit down and debate it and talk it out. So I think we've just thrown that first stone in. I've seen the ripples forming. It's time to, maybe lock that
on the flat water. On the flat water, the water always finds its level.
But it was
water
always
finds its level.
But 3 dimensions to make that ripple.
No, you're pushing it. You're pushing it there, mate. Pushing it. I don't know. So I will, I guess, just reiterate the importance of all Australians getting onto the doorstep respectfully, peacefully and lawfully. Well, when I say doorstep, as close as we can get, to the High Court of Canberra. Because it is important these High Court justices see we've come from every state, around the nation, because it's
enough people in Australia from various different points for that statement to still be accurate.
Well,
I'm a mongrel. I represent multiple nations just by turning up as one person. So
there you go. There you go. I'm not going to go into identifying, but yes. Everyone from every nation, from every state within this nation, get to Canberra. This is the thing. Australians are knocking on your door. We demand our constitution is upheld, our protections, and this state and Commonwealth parliaments reined in. How else are we going to do it? They need to be under the force of law, judicial force. Because this is the thing, we must, be very careful how we conduct ourselves. Because, they're throwing all kinds of things at us at the moment. And I'm telling you now, be very, very careful or wary of anybody that is, inciting people to, pick up arms and, with an aggressive nature. We can be passionate and forceful, but we've got to watch ourselves because we live in a very, very corrupt and twisted world at the moment.
Well, that's it. I think most of the time I come undone by being honest. And that's one of the biggest problems in this world. We're supposed to be open and honest, but what's my motivation here? Because every time I do that, I get fucking stabbed in the back or kicked in the ass. It's just
who cares? Who cares? That's the thing. I don't care. I'm at a point where I don't think I've ever really cared, to be honest with you. I say what I say. I say what I say because I'm speaking my truth.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, I'll never go out of my way to purposely offend somebody. But, we speak our truth. And that's what I say. I always fell into this or been in this movement, shall I say, as a truther. It was a truth movement, not a freedom movement. Because this is what we used to get into clashes. I used to get so cross at the protests when people are marching around going, freedom, freedom. And I'd say, we are free. Stand up and own it. What the hell are you doing, shouting out freedom? It's a truth movement. Don't ask for your freedom. We are free. Stand up and own it. Do not consent. Do not comply. This is the thing. Life is a contract. We make our decisions, our determinations, etc. But
we might open this up with some questions. So people start typing your questions. I've started a couple here. And there's a very important one to start with. How's that prune juice going down? Well, it went down. I'll let you know tomorrow what the result was. I've never mixed vodka and prune juice before. It could have explosive repercussions.
We'll know if you leave quickly.
Yeah, that's it. I haven't had to run off quick that fast yet. I find we've got should have at least another hour before it kicks in hard. But so what's the punishment / penalty for breaking these federal laws that we've discussed? Is it an eye for an eye? That would be wonderful. But
look, I think that
what do we see the outcome of perhaps these cases? If it goes one way or the other.
Look, my understanding of this is that, keeping in mind, I am in kindergarten with this. I am just learning, trying to keep, and we learn every day. So I'm just learning high court case law, constitution, etc. And, watching these cases, taking great interest in anything constitutional. But my understanding is the High Court is not the court for criminal conviction. Okay. So the High Court is there to determine or to uphold the rule of law and to make their rulings or precedents on the interpretation of the Constitution. So constitutional and rule of law determinations. So this would be the thing. If you solicitors who haven't done anything for us at all against taking the states, they've all got to know. Now's your opportunity. Start laying charges against all these in Parliament who've done all this against the people.
I think it's definitely the way to go. So on Wednesday, it's either going to be throw it back down to another court. It's not worthy of us. Is one scenario. The other scenario is, okay, cool, we'll hear it and then we set another date and we go from there. Is that kind of what we're looking at the moment?
Yeah, correct. And there will be, like you did ask earlier, Dr. Beverly and Rod will be sent links for people to review it remotely, because this is the other thing that's under the Open Courts principle. So I know that both of them contacted the court and asked for that. So justice must not just be done, it must be seen to be done.
Exactly.
Yes.
And they don't seem to like that much either, because on many occasions when I followed Darren into court and whatnot, there was transcripts go, and he's followed by like-minded individuals. Like, that's a horrible thing, Hang on, don't you all have like-minded individuals behind those closed doors as well? Anyway, what's good for the goose? So
Yeah,
Jason asked,
absolutely.
anyone going after Morrison for all this shit? So is there a
Everything.
possibility that there could be repercussions towards certain, state members and the federal member at the time, the prime minister at the time, once these cases have come through and it's gone in a perfect world, right? Yes, Rod, you're right. Doctor, sorry, I've forgotten her name. Yes, you're right. Can we then move through to have these people who have done this and caused these problems prosecuted?
I don't see why not. I'm still asking the questions, when you watch, and like, I've got my reservations about Trump and RFK Jr., I must say. I don't trust anything that's going on. And if I see them carry on for another month, I think it's in particular RFK Jr. has been speaking about all the crimes that Fauci and Gates, and it's like, well, are they behind bars yet? Well, what the hell's going on here?
Well, we've seen the same thing with Trump in his last term. He openly said, if I was in power, you'd be in jail, Hillary. Well, she's still running free.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, the world is a stage, as we've said. It's an absolute stage. So we're being played. We've got to be able to see through it all. And I think this is the other thing. Don't look to anybody for, to fix this for us. Don't be looking up and out there, they're going to come and save us or this one. No, we've all got to stand up. It's all of us together. But you got,
one giant nationwide class action.
Yeah, well, look, so this is why I'm trying to
centuries to put together with that many people coming forth. But
well, look, it only takes one person to bring a matter into the High Court that can affect the entire nation. So long as the nation, Australians, so long as we are all behind it. And once we can, generate that interest, and the courts are really getting concerned now because they can see we are watching what is going on now. We're watching very closely and not letting anything like Dr. Valerie, the exposure of what's come out with her cases. I tell you something which will be applicable for every state. Get this. Dr. Valerie was challenging the jurisdiction of the Magistrates Court in Melbourne to hear indictable offences. Now, the Supreme Court, Justice Gordon, has determined that the Magistrates Court, because it is only a court of petty sessions, can only hear indictable offences with informed consent. Has anybody been given that information? Because the Magistrates Court is really operating very deceitfully if they haven't given that information. So this scam that has been going on for decades is this business where the police will arrest somebody and they will come up with 10 trumped up charges for one crime that's happened at a certain time that is of the same element. They'll come up with 10 charges. Then your dodgy lawyer will take you into the dodgy prosecutor and say, listen here, Batty, tell you what, you plead guilty to this one, we'll drop the other 9. So that's called stacking the charges. They do that for the purpose of taking you in for plea bargaining. And then you have given your consent. Is it informed consent? No, it's not.
About as informed consent as the COVID jab.
Absolutely. So every Australian, you have the right to go, forget it. I am going into this matter must be heard in the county court in front of a jury of my peers.
Yep.
And let's see how much
less.
Court,
thank you.
Okay.
Chapter 3, Commonwealth Court. Thank you.
Yeah. So much shit going on, I tell you.
Mm.
Anyhow.
And of course, Karen was backing up the idea with Batty. Can we do a flat / round worth, or flat versus round another night with Jackie? So
Bring it
the
on.
audience asking
Bring it
for
on, Betty. I mean, bring it on. Yeah, and we can bring up, you can put up on the screen all the evidences.
Put all your little bits and pieces together. Well, I have to get you a webcam or something so that you can bring up your present things, because otherwise you're going to have to email it to me and I'll be able to destroy your arguments because I'll know what they are before you bring it.
Unless I've just got a new computer, actually. I got it off Darren, DD. Yeah, it's a great computer. I love it. I love it. My other one, my grandson, I had it by the door ready to run out the door, and he decided to tread on it, so he broke the hinge on it.
No.
So I've got to just work out how to get StreamYard onto the computer. Then I'll be set.
Oh, you don't need to get StreamYard on there. StreamYard is something. It's hosted offline, online. Sorry, so you don't need to download anything. All you need to do is get your webcam working. Has that got a webcam built into the laptop?
Does that just mean a camera?
Yeah, fundamentally, a lot of laptops have them built in, like just above the monitor. There's usually a little circle or something. You should be able to see.
Yes, I know it. I know it does. I've seen Darren on Zooms on this computer.
All right, cool. So we just got to maybe get Darren to help you set that up so that camera is functioning, and we'll be good.
All right, DD.
And if he's having any trouble, just give me a call and we'll work it out, because he's good with the audio side. I do the video side.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I'll work it out. Okay, I didn't know that. Because I tried to get on the other day and it said I had to download Chrome or something.
It might have been a browser problem then.
Because I'm on Safari.
These are tech issues we don't need to bore the general public with. We'll have a yarn about this.
Thinking that. Sometimes I forget we're on a... I forget we're putting things out there.
It's not a Zoom conversation. We're live.
No, we're live. Sorry, people. Sorry.
No, it's all right.
All right.
I know how you feel. I've become so accustomed to these things now. Sometimes I forget there's an audience too. And, that's right. There's people commenting down there. Oh shit, that's right. It just makes it more natural and more real,
Hey, I had a guy. What's his name? Cliff Edge, a resident from Canberra. I'll send it to you. I'll send you this song. It's on Spotify. The song is called "Stand in Canberra," and it's by Cliff Edge Music.
Rightio.
Yeah, it's all about standing up in Canberra.
Nice.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have it.
Yeah, I'll send it through to you. It's on Spotify. So Canberra, Wednesday. Hope I see heaps of people there.
Yeah. I'll do my best. Where is the High Court in Canberra, actually?
It's just if you have your...
I know where Parliament House is. I spent a few days there.
Yeah, so if you turn your back to Old Parliament House and walk straight down, and it's off to the left. It's not far. It's walking distance. Jackie, have you ever read this case? I think I've touched on it, but I need to have a look at that again. I've forgotten. Status in Victoria of constitutional principle recognised in Section 12 of the Bill of Rights. I can screenshot, can't I?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. I've just screenshotted that.
Beautiful.
I'm showing off with my technical skills now.
Yep. Nice work. So if I bring up the map of Canberra here.
Oh, great. Type in High Court.
Apparently that is the High Court there. High Court, yep.
Yeah.
High Court of Australia.
And is that...
triangle. So we've got King Edward Terrace.
Yeah. Where's Old Parliament?
That's what I'm... It's the National Library, Treasury.
No, come back over to the...
Magna Carta Place. Well, that's interesting. They've got a Magna Carta Place, yet they seem to ignore the Magna Carta as much as humanly possible. So here's Old Parliament here.
Yeah, see, so with your back to Old Parliament, you go, am I correct? You go straight ahead and it's off to the left.
Here to the wow, yeah. If your back is, you turn around, go forward, and it's to the right.
Oh, it's to the right. No, so I was incorrect. It's to the right, not the left.
Yeah.
Okay,
Apparently
thank
there's a
you.
rock xylophone over here. We could go over there and rock out on the xylophone. Ba-dum.
All right. Well, let's keep our
All right.
fingers crossed. The High Court is going to make the right decision. And I will say that through all the High Court case law we've gone through, to date, they have not let the Australian people down. They have given correct determinations and upheld our Constitution. So to date. So
Yeah.
let's go in there with positivity. They're going to do the right thing.
Let's hope so, because it'll be definitely a major sign of the times if they don't do that.
Yeah.
But alternatively, in fear of doing what they're supposed to do, they may just decide to go, we don't want to deal with this. Let's push it to another court.
No, I think with everyone watching, like there really is, I can't see that they would remit it to a lower court. I mean, these matters have affected every single Australian, the closure of our borders. As I said, when people come up, I've got a lot of case law written on my banners and some basics. But, if you have, for example, you lived in this state or that state, so many people couldn't attend their, families' funerals, their mothers, their fathers, their friends, sisters, brothers. It's just criminal. People had to cancel their weddings. It's just, and then, of course, you couldn't work across Australia unless you did what your state health act said and got a vaccine under fear, duress, coercion, and undue influence. It's crazy stuff. Crazy. We've got to set this country
I was
right.
supposed to film a wedding for a family friend or for a friend of mine, his sister was getting married down in Gladstone, I think it was. I was supposed to go down to do that, and it's just I think it's safe for you guys to get someone else because I don't know if we're going to be allowed to fucking move or not.
Well, I missed my father-in-law's funeral because there was only like 6 people allowed there.
Yeah, we missed a few funerals
and all of that.
Final birthday parties for some of those people too. It's like their last moments on earth. We were unable to be there, and then we weren't even able to be there for the funeral. It's it was bullshit.
Absolutely shocking. So just signs saying, I'm from this state, this happened to me, I'm from this state. It's absolute madness what occurred in this country. So it is up to us to really start. As I said, you don't have to know your stuff inside out. Just stand and be counted.
And it's a good opportunity to learn if you don't know.
Yeah, well, we've all got our heads around what's happened. So as I said, you don't have to be able to, enunciate that.
Yeah. Well, this should be this should be, like instead of everybody going, so who kicked that inflated bag of air around today, and got it through a couple of goalposts or whatnot. Shouldn't we be going, hey, who got in there and defended our freedom? Who got in there and fucking made sure that we're never going to be treated like a doormat ever again? That this is the real sport.
It is.
That's the way we should
challenge. This is a challenge. Leave your children, your family, a legacy. So hopefully I've done that for my grandchildren. When they say, what did Nana do? My daughter will say, well, she was bloody over opinionated and she did this and she did that. Anyhow.
Well, I know mine will be able to say, well, just it's hours and hours, days and months of fucking shit all over bloody every social media you can find. Go and have a look for yourself. You never stop talking.
I like that. I saw the word manifest. We're going to manifest this. Yeah, we are going to win. I was going to say I've got a lot of positivity for Australia as well because we are so isolated as a continent. I think we've got a really good chance to get this done. You know what I'm saying? We're not a country like in Europe, and we really have been used as a test ground. And I think Australians, now's the time. Let's do what our forefathers did for us. We're not standing out in front of live rounds of ammunition. We've just got to stand. That's it. And bring the staunchness back into what we, have a reputation for. We were staunch, hard fighters. So let's get in there and do this.
And larrikins, but the other thing
Larrikins.
I think we're very guilty of as well is, unfortunately, she'll be right, mate. She ain't fucking right. She's not gonna be right with that. Nah, she'll be right. We can't ignore this. Too often we let bygones be bygones. We've been too nice. We've been too forgiving. We've allowed too much shit to happen. And that I think that's the downside to our culture. Is that easygoing attitude that we've always had has easily allowed this shit to happen.
It has. Yeah, it has. I'm just wondering if some parliamentarian started that saying she'll be right, mate. The same as was it Malcolm Fraser said, life wasn't meant to be easy. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. You get these things ingrained. It's like, hold on a minute.
Yeah. I mean, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and challenges and all that. It's the same reason to take up something like martial arts, in particular, jiu-jitsu and things like that. It's fucking hard, and that's what makes you stronger, and it's what's so challenging and inspiring about it. But like, even if you look at it on a video game thing, to bring it into a more modern context, you look at some of the old video games, and you'd sit there for hours and hours and hours, and then you die, and you got to go all the way back to the fucking beginning and start again. These days, truth. Oh, I fucking missed me save point. I've lost 5 minutes of my game. That's it. I've cracked the shits, and I'm not doing it anymore. Like, it's amazing how things have changed so quickly just in a video game construct like that.
I've never played a video game. I've never played one. I would never. My video games were. Remember that old ping pong thing with it?
Yep.
The thing
Pong.
Yeah,
that was the very first video game ever invented.
That's the only one I've ever played.
Wow, you were right there back in the 70s. I've got an Atari. I can bring you up to the modern age piece by piece.
No, I got no interest in it. Same as football. I can't be bothered. No. I prefer to be out walking.
We've got more entertaining things to deal with. Court cases.
Yes.
Moving up in the world.
Yeah.
That's our new sport. That's our new video game.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We don't need tic-tac-toe. We don't need noughts and crosses.
Yeah, I like bring the larrikin back. Absolutely. That was the thing, we were known, Australians were known for taking the piss out of absolutely everything and everyone, but most of all out of ourselves. Bring it back.
Yeah, but all these lefty, touchy-feely people who got offended and upset by things, like, come on, harden up, mate.
Yeah, harden up. That's it. Put some cement in your coffee.
Exactly. I think we did get a couple more. Oh, we got that one. And Batty, will you do Sunday? Yes, I will probably be doing a Sunday in some shape or form. I'm not sure exactly what it will be. It depends on how much editing I do on George Christian's fucking got me names all mixed up. Senator Rennick's stuff that he did here on Wednesday. I've got the whole thing ready to go. So he did a presentation here in Townsville. I'm going to put that up for everybody who would like to see it, and I got an exclusive interview with him. And I also got one with Miss Cole, who will be running for the seat of Herbert here in Townsville. So that's all coming. It all depends on how many times the kids smash their face into a cardboard box or into the wall or something tomorrow and scream and cry and do that sort of stuff. It's been actually quite peaceful out there. Well done, kids, for not tripping over and hurting yourselves during a podcast this time. It was really good.
I've locked my door. I've locked myself in the bedroom.
I've got the door locked. The flag's up. It's done.
Locked myself in.
You can still hear them scream, especially when they really do themselves in.
No, Monica, I think they're asleep. Thank you so much, Betty.
No, thank you. It's been great to catch up. Like I said, I don't know if you've seen the little intro picture. I'll bring it up for you because you might not have seen it. I actually grabbed a screenshot of us in Canberra.
Thank you, Mark. You sent me the Bill of Rights case.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
So that was the last time we caught up there in Canberra.
Hey. Oh, I did miss that. Oh, good on you. Awesome. It's awesome.
I had the right hat on for it, so it was just
I
perfect.
think I've got the same crystal on.
Oh, there you go. It
There
is.
you go. Oh,
Yeah,
good pick. Awesome.
no
Well, I'll
worries.
see you on Wednesday.
No worries. I hope to be. I'm not going to make any
Yeah,
promises, but I'll give it
I
I'll give it
know.
a good go.
All right,
So,
let's hope to see as many as possible. Have a word to Jarrett Rennick and anyone else that you can think of. They need to get behind these things. I mean, that's another big question as to why haven't any of the senators or anyone else. It's like they don't know the Constitution.
mm,
This is the problem. But I will say we have seen over the last few years the cases that have been designed to fail on purpose to create false precedents. And that's why cases such as the Palmer, that's why Rod's doing a collateral attack on it, because if it hasn't been argued correctly and we haven't got the correct determination or the outcome, if that we should have, had it been argued correctly, we wouldn't have been in this situation either. So if
yeah,
cases are taken in designed to fail and not argued correctly, there's more work ahead because you've then got to go in and do what's called a collateral attack. Anyhow.
yeah. And that's
Thank you,
always
Rod
been
and
my big
Beverly.
question. It's what always can concern me about the way that case went down with Clive was why didn't Clive pick up on this? Like, is he that dependent on his legal team that he himself doesn't even know what the hell's going on? I'm just throwing a bag of money at this, guys. You guys sort that shit out. That's your job, right?
Mm.
You know, and when he failed, I would have been going to another lawyer going, how did he fuck that up? That was a sure win, right?
Yeah, it should have
I
been
don't
a
get it.
sure win. I mean, you can see that just you and I and those watching, you can clearly go over those principles that have been set in those cases. They're not very hard to read, are they? It's
Was Clive's
very
case in the
clear.
High Court? Was that in the High
Yes,
Court or was that?
yes,
Yeah.
it certainly was. Palmer versus WA 2020 High Court of Australia. And
Yeah,
then you had
wow.
Gurner. This is the other reason we're saying
So
to
if
the High
they
Court.
deny that on Wednesday, if the High Court denies that again is sus as all
Yeah,
hell. If they allowed
yeah,
Clive to do it and they don't allow
absolutely.
Rod to do it, then there's something really wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. You've also got Gurner versus the state of Victoria, which I think was 2020 as well, or 2021, but that was also in the High Court of Australia. Now, Gurner was a frivolous and ill-conceived case or matter that should never have been heard in the High Court. Gurner's solicitors were arguing intra-state, meaning travel within the state, which is nothing to do with Section 92, yet they brought it into the High Court as a Section 92, and they also brought in the implied freedom of political communication under 724 and 128. Julian Gurner, you weren't protesting. You weren't like, what the hell? The two subject matters that you went in on had no grounds. It was a failure in those elements of jurisdiction. Crazy. Anyhow.
Weird shit.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
No,
I'm just reading the caption there. Look, at this is another whole thing. Yep. Straw man. Where have all gone down all of these paths? Absolutely. Is it true that the High Court of Australia is registered in Nauru? You know what? Nothing surprises me these days. And you've got
I've
all of
never
these.
heard that one.
No, I haven't either. I mean, when you start to look into it, people are saying, like, I don't know, the Australian government's registered a little suburb somewhere, a little house that used to be a rental that's now being sold. And when you start to look at everything, it's like, what the hell is going on? It's crazy. It's crazy, crazy stuff. So, yeah, look, we do not care, quite frankly, if all of the High Court justices are three-eyed green tree frogs that haven't sworn their oaths. I don't care. So long as they are upholding our constitutional protections. That's
Doing
it.
their job.
Bottom line for me.
Yeah. We're going to find out.
That we are.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jackie, for coming on. It's great to catch up again. And with luck, I'll see you Wednesday. See how we go.
Fingers crossed. Hope to see a whole heap of you up there.
That's it. Great opportunity for us all to catch up and have a yarn in one way, shape, or form.
Awesome.
And the question is, do I wear the Know Your Rights hat or the MAGA hat?
Or the MAGA hat.
Yeah, just to annoy the shit out of people.
What's the
Make
MAGA
Australia
hat?
You know, MAGA, MAGA.
Oh, make Australia great
Make
again.
elbow go away, make Australia great again. It's wonderful. You can make it say so many things. Wonderful thing about acronyms, you know.
Yeah,
So
true.
I used to work for AMP, you know, and I used to say it was arseholes manipulating people. I love acronyms. You can
Yeah,
do so much with them.
acronyms. Yeah.
You've just got to be a little bit more creative.
Oh my God, that's hysterical. Yes, my friend had an accounting or like an accounting business, and she called it. It was IBS something or other. And I said to her, "Do you know what IBS stands for?" And she went, "What?" And I said, "Irritable bowel syndrome." She nearly died. Anyhow, yes, acronyms.
Yeah, you can do anything with them.
You can. We've been going for 2
Cam
hours.
reckons I should wear the MAGA hat. You know, go to
MAGA hat.
Canberra and say, make elbow go away. Yeah, we got another vote for the MAGA hat.
Yeah.
Make elbow go away. There we
Lock them
go.
all up.
Flush the turd on May the 3rd. Looking
Okay.
forward to it.
Yeah. You nearly finished your accident there.
No, this is
Oh, it is
another.
finished.
That's this. I'm being multicultural.
Oh, I see. Very good. Very good.
I think once we started talking about Nazi Germany, it just felt right.
Get the Jägermeister out. Yeah,
Jägermeister.
yeah. That's the hunting master, isn't it?
That's it.
Jäger.
Yeah.
Jägermeister. I lived in Germany for a while. Yeah.
And the you know, it's got the old crucifix. I think it was there's a full story to it, but I can't recall it off the top of my head. It's tasty stuff, and it's for medicinal purposes only.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's supposed to be in medicine, all the healing herbs and all this stuff. It was like 52 herbs or something in it.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry.
There you go.
It's based on the secret recipe of 56 selected botanicals, out of which I need my better light here, which our elixir is. So they call it an elixir. So that's
I
special
might go
magic.
and get some now.
Gently extracted. It's good stuff.
Sips
Best.
to that, Batty.
Oh yeah. Sips. Always promoting
Right.
responsible alcohol consumption with sips and not skulls.
Very good. That's what I say, isn't it? Skull.
Skull, yeah. That's the Viking word for it, I think it was. I think it's
That's what we say in
brosch.
Germany.
Brosch.
That's what we say in Germany
Brosch
too.
in German.
Prost.
I thought it was broscht in German, yeah.
Prost. Yeah, but skull. You got
Yeah.
Prost and skull. Yeah.
And
Skull
skull,
it
yeah.
down.
North Germanic. Mm.
Yeah.
There we go.
Good
The
luck,
hourglass is empty, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for watching. Thank you very much, Jackie, for coming on. It's been an amazing chat. And it's good to know that we're going to have the long-awaited round versus flat world discussion at some time in the near future.
All right, I'll start collecting all the stuff up.
That's it. We'll start getting our bag of tricks ready, and you know, I'll hit you up in the near future.
All right, done.
All righty then. All right. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the show. You know how to become a Patreon by now. It's in the description. You know how to contact me. That's also in the description. NQ Freedom Network at protonmail.com. If you've got something awesome you want to share, like Jackie did, she's reached out and said, hey, people need to know. And here we are letting people know. So you can do that too, ladies and gentlemen. So jump on and figure all that stuff out. It's not hard.
Thank you.
No worries. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, which will probably be pre-records tomorrow, and I'll have something ready for you Sunday. Until then, make sure you go and have a hard look in the mirror and ask yourself, should somebody do that something about this world? Yes. And that somebody is the person staring back at you.